Now, my main focus point today is about an interesting proposal out of the White House, and that's Biden's rent control proposal and what it means for landlords and for tenants. Now, President Biden has introduced a plan aimed at curbing the soaring costs of housing in the United States. And so let's break down the key components and potential impacts of this proposal. Under the new proposal, corporate landlords who own 50 or more units would be required to cap annual rent increases at 5% or face the loss of valuable federal tax incentives. Now, this measure targets the larger landlords who, according to the administration, are significantly raising rents and reaping substantial profits at the expense of tenants. These landlords currently benefit from several tax deductions, which could be impacted if they do not comply with the new rent cap. Now, this proposal has sparked, I would say, immediate criticism from various industry groups who argue that introducing what they view as rent control could lead to negative outcomes, such as discouraging investment in new rental properties, and maybe even reducing the overall housing supply. Essentially, the criticism is you're attacking this from the wrong side. Now, the rent cap proposal is part of a broader effort by the Biden administration to address housing affordability and who can rent and where they can rent or buy homes. Other initiatives include protections for renters in multifamily properties overseen by the FHFA, such as mandatory 30-day notices for rent increases and lease expirations, and 5-day grace periods for late rent payments. Now, in addition to targeting rental markets, the administration proposes incentives for home buyers and homeowners. For instance, a new mortgage relief credit would offer a $5,000 annual tax credit for 2 years to eligible middle-class first-time home buyers. There's also a proposed 1-year tax credit of up to $10,000 for middle-class families who sell their starter home to another owner-occupant. Now, as this debate unfolds, particularly with an upcoming election, Vice President Harris has already announced a different plan that kind of piggybacks off this, though it is more broad in terms of, or rather it opens the purse more in terms of what is being offered for first-time home purchaser credits. But as this debate unfolds, in the shadow of an election, discussions about the best method to balance the needs of renters, landlords, and the broader housing market will certainly intensify. I don't fully disagree with all of this. Certainly, I think the basic core of it, the having to notify somebody in advance of raising your rent, is probably a good protection that doesn't really cost anything. 5-day grace periods, generally speaking, are pretty, aren't very costly. I have a 5-day grace period and I live in a large corporate-owned landlord apartment. So I think those are fine. But the root cause of the issue here is supply. We have not built enough houses. We have not built enough apartments in this country. Santa Monica, California, right on the other side of the freeway from me, is one of the most expensive areas in this country. It is also illegal in that city to build above a certain height. The homelessness crisis in California is directly due to massive income inequality and the lack of affordable housing. So I think they have the right idea at looking at this as a problem, because maybe in general, we should shift our precious resources away from subsidizing large corporate landlords at all, and instead put the money where it should be. Subsidizing building. We'll touch about this later on and why lowering rates is not going to solve the housing crisis. And that's because the issue is a supply issue. We need to, in this country, build more houses. It helps people try and achieve the American dream, that white picket fence that everybody wants.